welcome to the hunt, and today's shall be the Viper Tobi Kadachi, last day. The Viper Tobi Kadachi is a handful to say and also a handful to fight. Unfortunately, while I love the idea of the Tobi Kadachi, Viper Tobi Kadachi can fall flat in a few instances, but also is enhanced by how it's inherently gimmick. However, I do dislike its gimmick, and some of its hit zones can be kinda shit. For an early game Master Rank, Viper Tobi Kadachi is strangely difficult to fight about. Like, surprisingly so. You can go on and fight Butotus with relatively safety, which is what happened in this playthrough to begin with, and Bambaro with maybe with some legitimate issue, but you will have a fairly easy time. Viper Tobi Kadachi introduces what is called as toxic or as heavy poison, depending on who you ask. So, a couple of monsters in high rank inflicted poison to you naturally. So, something like the Puke, for example, which might be the best, the most known method of being poisoned in the regional game. In Iceborne, Viper Tobi Kadachi is the introduction and the mainstay for Toxin. There are a couple of other monsters that can also affect you with this status effect, and it's probably well, first of all, it's extremely hard to deal with, and it's actually super dangerous, and it makes you feel like the fight is a lot more involved than it actually is, to be perfectly frank, since it's a Tobi Kadachi. Even so, there are one or two moves out there that are added that make the fight genuinely like a much more involved range battle, which is weird to say because you wouldn't think Tobi Kadachi as a range attacker. He doesn't have a fireball move, but his tail can now shoot spikes from its fur, allowing you, just like that move right there, to inflict toxins on you. And not only that, it probably has one of the deadliest moves at all, which is those feathers stick on the ground and still potentially inflict that damage on you. And the thing that's so dangerous about the Viper Tobi Kadachi is that toxin is a lingering effect that, if you don't treat, will delete nearly 2.5 health bar of content. So I think it deals somewhat in the regions of nearly 300 health points, maybe even more, and that's for its entire duration. And during the middle of a monster fight, if you don't have something to potentially counteract this, it's actually super hard to deal with, and I heavily recommend you bringing in a health booster or apocryphy mental or a null bear, not a null bear, an antidote, just to make it somewhat more dealable. It's actually a very hard thing to deal with. Outside of that, Viper Tobi Kadachi, I mean, it's a Tobi Kadachi. If you aim for the tail ahead, you will have no issues dealing as much damage as possible. However, I will say, watch out for the tail. It's extremely deceiving sometimes, as well as the feather placement. If you don't watch very well what you're doing, or where you be placed in the environment, you will be punished severely. So positioning is beginning to be a little more troublesome, especially in Master Rank. And again, I love how Viper is essentially the gateway to a much more complex Master Rank. Although it's the last easy-ish monster of the game, I think it's done surprisingly well. There are a couple of other monsters that I have easy times fighting, but that's just because I'm so familiar with the moveset, and since I fought him so much that I have a genuinely just kind of easy time to go about it. But for most people, that's how I feel. And there we go, Bambaro coming in, fucking up everything. Oh, I love Bambaro. I love Bambaro so much. Bambaro be screwing up every possible quest. He just came in. Future Ollie, put in the Thomas the Tank Engine scene where he comes in. But anyway, yeah, Viper is super dangerous and honestly is quite fun to fight even during a naked challenge. If only because for the fact that dealing with its general moveset is genuinely fun, and you need to be much more aware of your positioning. And I'm a huge believer that positioning in a video game is just as fun as many other aspects of fight. So like multi-dodging attacks, iframing, stamina management. I think positioning is just as much of an interesting mechanic, as a lot of games would disagree with that philosophy. And they're wrong if they think that. Fucking Doom Eternal was all about positioning and right weapon placement, and that's what makes the game fun. And I think Monster Hunter does a fantastic job with this, and we will see more of this during the Barioth fight, the Nargacuga fight, and we will see eventually. But yeah, it's legitimately kind of cool and kind of fun. So how about that? So let's just capture this thing. Also, this is unfortunately the thing that I dislike about this game is that sometimes the aggro can be diverted fairly easily for a monster, and I made the mistake of actually bringing in not the Shield Spire Stooge on this one, which is unfortunate. Also, your Palico's a boss. Look how much he can tank that toxin on all of the attacks. Well, granted, your Palico can survive a Sapphire Sapphire Star attack. Emperor of the Sapphire, something like that from Safijiva. So, you know, it's all relevant. Anyway, that was the Viper Tobi Kadachi. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you all on another hunt.